an Arab, and a Jew on my brother's birthday? Jesus Christ.
That was great.
Enough of this shit.
That's awesome.
Hit the road, you prick.
Yeah, I love that.
That's awesome. And here it is, a year in review for the Crossroads Comedy Project. This is Josh Sarman coming to you live from my basement. And as you can hear in the background, I got Murray roaring up a storm, which is fantastic. Of course, that last clip you heard there, that was Ron Sexton doing his incredibly funny impersonation of Tony Soprano. And that's what we're kind of going to do here today on this podcast, guys. We're going to go over our year that Ish and I had, and we're going to play some of the tasty choices of different interviews that we did. And like, for example, coming up here, we got Scott Wilson talking about a story about when he was with Jon Stewart. So this ought to be pretty interesting. Take it away, Scott.
Working at the time, maybe it was an improv at the time, I guess, in Atlanta with Jon Stewart. And nicest guy.
Sure.
Really is the nicest guy. And they had this green room off the stage, away from the room. You kind of got to walk through the room a little bit to get to it, but and they've got a couple of windows there, and it looks out over this Buckhead streets, right, in Atlanta, where it's nothing but bars, and it's basically. I don't think it's. I think it's local. I don't think it's too much touristy kind of thing,
yeah.
but. And we just happened to be there on a weekend where there was some kind of big celebration where everybody was in the streets. And this one bar had a gyroscope in the middle of the street, where you go strap yourself in the gyroscope. You never seen this, Ish?
No.
Yeah, and you fly in
What the hell
circles.
is this?
Yeah.
Okay. Keep
Right.
going.
This is great.
Have you ever seen, what is it, the picture of the dude where, your arms are as long as your legs and all that stuff?
Talk about the Leonardo da Vinci.
It's Da Vinci.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, you've seen that, right?
Right.
Well, they've built a gyroscope around that idea.
Oh, okay.
Right? And there's a gyroscope, and then there's this flat thick panel that would just rotate and go just different directions, right? Because of gravity and some other kind of science that I don't know about.
Centrifugal force.
Okay.
That's what it is.
We'll believe you.
I mean, but I'm better up on this than he is. I admit I don't know what the hell's going on. Anyway, they put you in this, they start spinning it, and you just go around and around, but you go around and around like weird angles and stuff like that, right?
It's supposed to be fun?
Yeah, and it's supposed to make you dizzy, and then, you have a good time with it.
Get off, high five, move on.
Right.
Okay.
So, and you would actually have to pay to do this. It was like
This
$5 Get on this thing.
Where is this now?
This was in Atlanta.
We're in Atlanta, and it's like right before the show. So him and I Jon Stewart and I are just going, wow, that's a big crowd out there, And he's going, look at what they got to do. Well, here's a guy that's going to go up. He's going to get it. Look, they're locking him in,
Yeah.
We're going, all right, they're going to spin him around. And they just keep going, go faster, go faster. So there's somebody just hitting it, just hitting it as it comes back around every time. Just like you would a merry-go-round, right? You just keep hitting it. And then all of a sudden this person, he loses it.
Yeah.
And he just starts
Yeah, I'm not
puking.
assuming.
But it's puking in the exact way of the atom.
Oh.
And the crowd is like going, oh, and they're just like, and you can just see this whole crowd just, because it's going everywhere, right? The crowd is just disseminating away from it in a big circle.
Disgusting.
And of course, we found that to be humorous, and we were laying on the floor when they came and said, "Well, you're on," and I had to go out and do. I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah, right.
I had to go do my set. I mean, that's all I could think about. Jon Stewart went out and did his set, and he goes, "Here's why Scott probably didn't do as well as he should have. Is because we watched this," and he explained it because I didn't say anything about it.
That's hilarious.
And,
What year was this?
I don't know, 1991.
Yeah.
1992.
No, I wanted you to tell that story because later on, you actually got Lee to open for Jon Stewart.
Well,
And
yeah,
Yes.
there was a big deal about where cable was going to cut off Comedy Central,
yeah,
right?
Wow.
which I actually was on Comedy Central before it was Comedy Central, when it was the Comedy Channel.
The Comedy Channel, right.
That caught me by surprise one day when I was sitting in a bar, because I found out that one of the comedy clubs that I'd worked at over the years had been taping every show and selling it to Comedy Central.
Right.
And so I wound up on Comedy Central, which I'd gladly put that on my resume, but and I would have liked to have known. And
Right.
but anyway, so John and Lee Cruz was just a fledgling comic at the time. I mean, and that's probably not even true. He was doing better than that. But for some reason, I had enough balls to walk into the Singletary Center with Lee and just walk backstage, which apparently they just let us do. Which I was amazed that there wasn't any security at all. And it may have been because of me. I mean, they may have seen me and went, "He's a comic."
Sure.
But I walked back. I found John in a dressing room, just and I said, "Hey, I got this guy. You don't have an opening act today?" And he goes, "No," because they were doing this show to save Comedy Central.
Oh, okay.
Is what they were trying to do. And you don't have an opening act? And he goes, "No, I don't have an opening act." And I go, "I got one for you if you're willing to do it. He's clean. He's doing. He's good. He's funny. He won't go crazy." And he goes, "Yeah, whatever."
So you just let Lee go up there.
So yeah,
Nice.
well, but Lee was still part of like the radio apparatus that that was doing the promotions for it anyway too. So yeah, Lee got to open for Jon Stewart.
Absolutely love that story. First time Scott told me that, I laughed for a good 10 minutes. Just the visual that you get from that story is fantastic. And it's interesting to hear that, Scott actually helped Lee Cruz get his start. Lee Cruz, of course, is a anchor at a local news station here and a very funny, multi-decade comedian who will be on our show that's coming up this year. So that should be a lot of fun. We always love having Lee around. He's a dry sense of humor, but he's a funny guy. All right, so next we're going to go listen to Mike Armstrong, and he's going to talk about how he opened up for Garth Brooks.
Garth seen me and said, "Hey, why don't you open up for me?" So back to the I don't care thing.
No, it's just Garth Brooks,
This is a great story, though. Go ahead.
I got like 45,000 people.
Okay.
So I come out, and country audiences, they listen. I don't care how many thousands, they listen. So I come out and I go, "Hey, I know y'all came to see me, but there's some country singer out. I can't even remember his name." I go, so to make him feel welcome, after I'll say good night, I'll let them say his name, then I'll say good night when y'all go crazy. When I leave the stage, he'll think it's for him. So they say Garth Brooks. I go, "Good night, everybody." So I'm walking from end of one stage to the other, taking a bow, going, sit down. You're embarrassing me. But Garth Brooks comes down. He's in his harness. He's singing. He's flying in the air. So he comes out and he finally lands. I push him back and take another bow.
Oh, hell no.
So I walk off stage and I go, "I'm fired. I know it."
Yeah, right? I was about to say.
But this is a great road story.
I think you've taken this whole theory, I don't give a fuck, a little too far.
I really don't.
You know?
So after the show, like 2.5 hours, he walks up to me and he goes, "You know how long it's been since somebody pushed me?" And I go, "Oh, about 2.5 hours ago." And he goes, "Do it tomorrow night, man. That was great."
You're ballsy, my man. I'll give you that much.
Oh, I've had worse than that.
Oh, he told me that story, and I just belly laughed. I was like, "My God, who pushes Garth Brooks out of the way and tries to take his friggin' his
forever have that
applause?"
story.
You know what? He's the greatest guy in the world.
Oh, I bet.
Man, we had a lot of fun in that interview with Mike. That guy's an electrified personality. But speaking of working with really famous folks, Edna Mae was on our show, and she's worked with so many famous folks. I mean, people like Sam Kinison and Andrew Dice Clay. This story that she's getting ready to tell here, this is a story about Rodney Dangerfield. Check this out.
At the Comedy Store, I was Mitzi Shore's favorite comic, her top female for about 10 years.
And that's Pauly Shore's mom.
Pauly Shore's mom.
Yeah, I know Dee Dee was talking about that.
And once a month, she had the main showroom in the Dunes Hotel in Las Vegas. So once a month, I was there and there were 5 headliners on the show. So it was Gary Mule Deer, Skip Stevenson, Charlie Hill, me, and Ollie Joe Prater. And Harry Basil was working across the street at the MGM with Rodney Dangerfield.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard this?
No, I know who Harry Basil is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was opening for Rodney Dangerfield. And then we only had one show that night. So Rodney Dangerfield invited all of us comics to come over and watch his show. And then he was going to have a big buffet for us.
Nice.
Okay. And so Harry called us up and told us this. And so Harry was sitting with us during the show, and then he gets up and takes off. And we're like, where is he going? And all of a sudden, we hear Harry Basil's voice in the back of the theater yell out a heckle line. And, of course, Rodney Dangerfield comes back with a great retort.
He was the king.
And then, pretty soon, maybe 15 minutes goes by, Harry Basil's voice is coming from the right side of the room. So he would have Harry Basil run around the showroom and just yell out stock heckle lines, and Rodney Dangerfield would do stock jokes.
Sure.
But it seemed like he was a genius.
Right.
So we get up. Now we're in Vegas. We go to his dressing room, and there's a major buffet. I mean, it's
Vegas
shrimp
style. Yeah.
and lobster and everything. A couple of very beautiful women were in the room. Prostitutes, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't see
It's
any money.
Vegas.
I did not see money exchanged. So we all get in there, and Rodney Dangerfield is not there. But this is a huge dressing room. And the door slides open to this other room, and it was the bathroom. And he'd just come out of the shower, and he just had a robe on, which made me a little uncomfortable. But so he sits down on the couch, and he starts holding court. And I can't do a great Rodney Dangerfield impression, but it was like, he started telling us this story, and he goes, hey, kids, you remember that thing that happened over at Caesar's Palace? Where I sued Caesar Palace. They were trying to sue me, and I was trying to sue them. And he goes, you want to know the truth behind that story? And we're like, yeah. And he goes, so I get done with the show, and I always shower after my show. And I'm sitting here watching television, and I got my feet up on the thing. And I always do a couple lines of Coke right after my show.
Of course.
So he says, I did a couple lines of Coke, and I put my feet up on the table. I finished my Coke, and I put my feet up on the table. I'm watching television. Now I got to take a piss. You know, I got my prostate. And he goes, so I get up and take a piss, and I come back, and on the glass table, there's more cocaine. And I was like, wow, this must be good stuff, because I thought I finished this. And he says, so, I cut it up and I line it up, and I do a couple snores, a couple more lines. I'm watching television. I got to piss again. Every 15 minutes, I got to piss. And he goes, I come back from the bathroom. There's more Coke on the table, like the Coke fairy is coming down. And he goes, so I chop it up, and I snort it, and I go back to watching television. And he said, and I'm thinking, where the hell is all this cocaine coming from? And he said, while I'm watching television, suddenly my eyes focused on my feet. And after every shower, I put Desinix on my feet.
Oh, no.
And he said, I did 4 lines of Desinix.
Oh, Lord.
He goes, So I call 911. Now he's had seizures palace. He calls 911. And he's going, I just snorted 4 detonators. So they rush him to the hospital. And he cannot do his show the next night because he's in the hospital. Well, Seizure Palace wants to sue him for breach of contract.
Sure.
Because it wasn't an accident or anything.
Right.
It was, he snorted detonators.
Can you picture the 911? I snorted 4 lines of detonators. Why?
Yeah, right?
Why would you do that?
What, you got athlete nose?
Right?
Well, I think that's what happens when you do a few lines in the beginning that are actually coke. And then at that point, you don't know what the fuck you're putting up your
Yeah,
nose.
Oh my
you're
God.
snorting anything.
That's
Yeah.
freaking hilarious.
But, so he countersues Caesar's Palace and says that he was in a hot tub. And I look this up online. He was in a hot tub and it was too hot and it burned his eye. And that's why he had to go to the hospital. So they kind of they settled and the two canceled each other out and stuff like that. But that was firsthand account.
What an amazing story. Edda never talks about this stuff in her set. I mean, she has had a very storied career with some amazing people. I mean, just to me, it's fascinating. Next, we had Greg Morton on the show. And, of course, if you know Greg, he's got to talk about his favorite subject, and that'd be Star Wars.
Yeah, so you're a big Star Wars guy. So I got to ask
Huge.
have you seen the latest?
Yes, I saw The Last Jedi.
I'm dying to hear what you thought of it.
Maybe you're gonna find this surprising, but I liked it.
Did you?
I really enjoyed it.
Okay, I want to know what aspects of it that you enjoyed.
Well, first of all, it was not predictable.
Okay.
And all of
I'll
the
give that.
fanboys out there, I mean, for the last 2 years, they had their Snoke theories.
Yep.
They had Rey's parents theories.
Right.
And this movie just went, nah, and they threw it out.
Right.
Which I thought was great.
You thought that was great.
Well, here's what I think.
Okay.
Okay. I liked that this whole film seemed to be directed at the hardcore fans. And say, you know what, all that other stuff, we're going to burn it. And I think you know which scene I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to do any. Are we going to do spoilers?
We could do spoilers. Listen, spoiler alert, folks. Skip over this part if you haven't seen Last Jedi yet. But honestly, you should have seen it if you're an actual fan. If you haven't, well, here you are.
Okay. Well, okay. Spoilers. Here we go. So Yoda.
Right.
Yoda shows up when Luke is there, and he's thinking about burning the whole tree down, the Jedi tree.
Jedi temple,
the
yeah.
Jedi temple and
Right.
everything, just burning it down.
Which
to the
was a
ground.
tree.
And then Yoda comes in and yes, burn that shit down to the ground. We must, And he lights everything on fire, and it's kind of true. It's like everything that you knew before, we're gonna scrap that. We're gonna start over. And we're going to have a new canon.
So
that's why we have different canons, right? We have the legends and the
true.
Yeah.
That is true. Did you catch the fact that the Jedi books didn't burn?
Oh, they didn't burn?
They were in the Millennium Falcon at the end. Rey snagged them before she left.
Oh, interesting.
She opened up a drawer, and they were in the drawer.
Interesting.
And Yoda knew that.
Oh, okay.
That's why he burned it down, because he didn't want Luke to know.
But maybe it was maybe it was more of a symbol to Luke to let all of that stuff go.
Yeah.
Let go of the past. But that seems to be a theme in this film, letting go of the past. Don't
Sure.
you? Would
No,
you agree?
I can see
Look
that.
at Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing. He urges Rey to let go of the past.
Yeah, even though he won't.
Even though he. But we all fight with that. We all have the same dilemma
Sure.
in our own lives,
No,
right?
absolutely.
Like letting go of the past.
Yeah.
We seem to revisit it time and time again. Well, why does this happen all the time? Why does it happen? Well, because it's forefront in your mind, and you haven't let it go.
Yeah.
And until you can let that go, there's no way that you can possibly progress in your own life.
No, that's
It's a great message.
It is a good No, I like that. I didn't even look at it that way. I like that. Your thoughts on the fact that Princess Leia all of a sudden could survive the vacuum of space?
I thought it was a little cheesy, but I let it go. I let it go at the same time.
You forgave it
because I knew that she would also have force powers, and even though we hadn't seen them up until that moment, they're in the books, they're in the other stories. Yeah. I forgave it. I let it go.
The only part about that, actually, when it happened in the movie and I saw her hand move, I went, "You force having bitch!" I was like, "How dare you just reveal it now?" But I mean, my contention was that is blasters kill Jedis, so the vacuum of space, no problem, which is highly, highly more dangerous.
Well, guys, they're dropping bombs in space. I mean, you kind of need gravity to have bombs.
You kind of need oxygen,
right? There are certain things that you need,
right?
And we let that go too.
That's true. No, that's a great point.
There are a lot of things that we let go.
Yeah, you're finding
in Star
yourself
Wars.
letting things go.
Now,
sure.
Now on that capital ship, that vice admiral, you knew I was going to bring this up. Why couldn't she have been sucked out of space and Admiral Akbar was the one that did that thing at the end? Because I thought that would have been more meaningful for us, because we all know Admiral Akbar, but this chick, she was brand new for the movie, and we're all like, who is this lady?
I guess more meaningful to us because we're the hardcore fans. There are a lot of... this film is bringing in new fans.
True.
Right? The same way that the prequels brought in new fans.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of what Disney was trying to achieve there.
Yeah.
Not try to be so predictable.
I mean, as a standalone
I think
movie,
so too.
As a standalone movie, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
As canon, it was kind of like, Jesus, this ancient, powerful being, this most interesting, character that we've seen her all, might as well have gotten killed running with a fork in his hand. Because I mean, it was just he's in plain sight of Kylo Ren doing his little hand thing, and he's talking about how I know his every move, and then it's like, oh, I'm sorry, where'd my feet go?
However, if you are truly a master, you use your head.
Right.
You don't have to use your skills anymore. The same way basketball players, when they get older, they're more strategic, right? They may not be they may not have the physical game that they once had, but they have the brain game.
Sure.
Remember Jordan?
Oh yeah.
In his final years, he played a lot smarter than what he did. No, would you agree?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I could see it, but he just got done like force beating the hell out of friggin' Ray. I mean, he had her this way, that way, a little electric ball on her knees. I mean, he was going crazy. You think maybe he was expending so much energy to control her that he couldn't sense anything else? Because that's the only thing I can think of. Because she is obviously very powerful.
No, I think it was a chess move.
You think he's
And
just...
it was all in the head. I thought, like, why do I have to meet this person? I can do this by not even being there.
Yeah.
But however, by doing it, he expended all of his energy. And you know what? You have to.
Oh, you're talking about Luke.
I'm talking about Luke. Who are you talking about?
I was talking about Snoke. How he was using all his
Snoke.
energy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Snoke.
Yeah, no, it's fine. All his energy to control Rey in the royal room there.
Okay. I'm sorry.
And maybe his arrogance, like he didn't see what Kylo was going to do. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just thought of it as a plot device, that particular scene, because listen, we don't know the whole story yet, do we?
Well, we don't.
There's a third movie. Snoke could obviously come back.
Well, if he's Plagueis.
If he's Plagueis, he could come back.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, there's another film that's going to tie everything together, and we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And when we see all of three films together, maybe they'll work together
better
as a group than as individual
I
films.
sure hope so, because I was disappointed with the movie. I'll be honest with you.
You really were.
I was disappointed because every interesting plot device they were like, nope, we're done. And the one character who's not alive anymore, they left alive. I mean, we were all expecting Leia to die, and when she went out on the bridge, everybody's like, okay, so that's how she buys it. Nope, she's back. She lives. It's like, really?
Well, I don't know how they're going to figure that out, but I know that she was supposed to be a crucial part of the third film.
Oh, okay.
And now that is gone. So I don't know what they'll do to fix that,
It's
how
gotta
they'll
be
write
CGI.
them.
It's got to be CGI.
They've been saying that no, they're not going to do the CGI
Really?
route. Yeah, with that.
So, I mean, maybe get another actress that looks like her. I mean, they could always go that route.
I mean, it's hard to say right now.
Yeah.
I mean, and it is J.J. Abrams. I think
Right.
he'll be a little more story focused. He has already said that he will be very conscious of bringing tying up a lot of loose ends.
Right.
I say don't worry, just let it go and let it be what it is, because that's the way art is. And you
Yeah.
guys know,
Oh, yeah.
being in this business, that you plan the things that you have planned. You show up that night, and things happen.
Right.
And all of that goes out the window. Oh no, suddenly my act is gone and I have to do crowd work.
Right.
And I've got to, and the beast is what it is, and I've got to tame that beast.
Yeah.
I've got to do whatever I can, and at the end of the day, the show is what it was. And if the people enjoyed it, well, then who cares?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
You got through it.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is directing and writing. Those are very complicated hats, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
They really are. And then, in the end, it is what it is. You can obsess over it the way Lucas did,
Right.
and tweak it every couple of years.
Right.
I mean, he felt that the film is never a film is never done. It's never finished. That was his thing, and a lot of fans are going like, "No, what are you doing? That's the thing I love."
Right.
Well, just because you love it doesn't mean that you have ownership of that piece of artwork.
Right.
And I'm sure you've had this before, where people have come up to you and gone like, "Oh no, you used to deliver that joke this way. I liked it better
Yeah.
when you did it this way."
Yeah.
Well, no. This is my art. This
Right.
is my joke, and I determine where it goes.
Yeah.
You don't determine where it goes. But I've had people say that to me.
Really?
Like, "Oh, I wish you used to do it this way." And I don't even remember that.
Sure.
It's just an evolution.
Yeah, and
To
a lot
me.
of times your material changes organically anyway on stage.
Right?
You just find a better way that feels better and it flows better, and you just start doing it that way. And,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a twist of a word. Like I used to say, instead of taupe, I used to say, I said, it was tough growing up taupe, referring to my skin tone. And I used to say that it was tough growing up beige.
Right.
Beige.
Okay.
But I didn't think that beige was had a hard enough sound.
Sure.
Beige sounds bland. It sounds flat.
Yeah, I like
Sounds
taupe.
flat.
But taupe is a more interesting word. You can color the word better, and the T
Yeah.
sound is harder.
Yeah.
So I switched it from beige to taupe.
Yeah.
And a guy said to me, "I liked when you said beige better. It was funnier to me." And we had an argument about that. And that's ridiculous.
It's absolutely
That is
Shades
ridiculous.
of brown we're arguing over, right? I mean, isn't that ridiculous?
That's ridiculous.
That's some hardcore fans that remember every word of every bit of your material.
I mean, it's flattering in a way, but it's like another way. It's like, shut up. This is my stuff.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
So that harkens back to our initial discussion, right?
absolutely. So before we get off Star Wars, though,
No, let's keep going on this, Star Wars.
I
love
would
this.
I would love to hear your 2-minute rendition. Don't you have a little rendition you do?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Here we go. Join me, Luke. Join me on the dark side. I'll never join you! Ah! Hello, Master Luke. Master Luke. Red leader to gold leader standing by. Gold leader to red leader standing by. Look out, Porkins. Shut down on the garbage measures at the detention level. 3PO, shut down on the garbage measures at the detention level. Oh, shut them down. Shut them all down. They're dying all too. Uti waka loka solo. Utu jabawaka. Yes, go ahead, young Skywalker. Join me and your father on the dark side of the horse. Do or do not. There is no try. Yeah.
I absolutely love this guy's comedy, and those impressions are pretty damn outstanding. Next, we're going to go check back in with Ron Sexton as I ask Donnie Baker some questions.
I'd like to ask Donnie some questions. Can I ask him
absolutely.
some?
Yeah, that would be fun.
All right. So, Donnie, have you ever seen a UFO?
I've seen UFOs many times, not just on like Star Wars, but there's a lot of YouTube's has got proof of it. I've seen more. There's most of what I see. It's just like with it's hard to tell. It's like stars and planets. They both sparkle. It's like a difference between herpes and heat bumps. But I know I've seen verified UFOs before. I can prove it. I just don't have proof of it.
That's awesome. Your thoughts on Bigfoot?
Well, people's like, oh, Bigfoot ain't around. We've never found bones of Bigfoot. Okay, dumbass, what in the hell do you think the wolf's been eating all these years? The Bigfoot's the only food group the wolf needs. And only a few have gotten away, but that's what the food group of the wolf. I've studied wolves. I know they eat Bigfoot. I know where they live. I know where they lay their eggs. So I can prove that.
I think if we ever had Donnie on a reality show, living out in the woods, that would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So single or double wide?
Well, see, I'm not white trash. I wouldn't live in a trailer. But I'd say, hey, just like the chubby chaser I am, I go double.
All right. All right.
State law.
Okay. Angel Skinner or Patty Ferguson?
Depends if we're talking missionary or dog fashion. Angel had back acne, so in my boat she was always sliding around. Patty Ferguson, we could never do missionary, you know. We had to do dog fashion, but she was a squirter, and that's it because she was tired of getting her ankle monitor.
I kid you not, I've never heard of the phrase dog fashion.
Oh, really? It's a Southern thing, yeah.
Is it?
That's awesome.
I've never heard of that.
How did a dog fashion? Yeah, dog fashion.
Mitchell or Randy?
I hate Mitchell more. Randy I can deal with. Mitchell I torment.
Yeah.
Goose Lager or Jaeger?
Oh, I'd say Jaegers.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Hey, give her Jaeger. You don't have to beg her. State law.
I tell you what, Ron is one of the most genuine, nice guys that we've met coming through Comedy Up Broadway. The guy is congenial and fantastic, and absolutely amazing doing those impressions. We'll probably play a little bit more of those a little bit later. Next, we're going to listen to Greg Warren telling us how wrestling was his first passion.
So you went to college on a wrestling scholarship?
Yeah.
All right, that's right. So, like, what weight did you wrestle in?
With the first 3 years, my freshman year, I went to West Point. I was a cadet there, and I left after a year and transferred to the University of Missouri. And that's so for the first that first year was a redshirt year, and then for the first 3 years at Missouri, I was 150, and then my senior year, I was 158.
Nice.
I bumped up.
What was your like? Do you have good records? So you ever
Yeah, I was good, man.
get a state championship or?
Well, when I was in
collegiate
high school, I was a two-time state champ, and then as a senior in college, I made, I placed 7th in the country, which is all
Nice.
American,
Yeah, he was an
top
All-American.
8.
That's pretty amazing.
But yeah, it was
That's
a long
pretty
time.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
was.
is.
I mean, I was good, but I never kind of cracked through that.
being a-
Guys that were like Olympic level, But actually, I almost think in some ways I think I underachieved, and in some ways I think that last tournament I overachieved.
Okay.
Like, I look at my background, like my dad was a wrestling coach. I wrestled my whole life. I'm like, maybe I should have been better. But I think I still did. Wound up. Evident. It kind of. I didn't say it out loud, but once I sort of got into college and got into the grind of the season. My goal was to be an All-American. I think in the back of my head, I was like, I don't think you really are going to be a national champion, When I look back, I'm like, why did I don't know if I made that adjustment. Maybe I should have not made that adjustment.
So being an All-American is still huge. So
Yeah, it was cool.
So do you think you could take me and Josh right now?
I'm not sure I could take anybody at this point. Yeah. I'm really, honestly, I'm not. I'm a little fed up with my physical.
if it makes you feel any better, you and me both. You and me both.
I just got on the. I always wind up getting a cold around this time of the year, so I just got done with coming out of a 2-week sit in the bench cold, where I just don't do anything, and then today I was like, okay. You got to start small here, man. So I got on the elliptical for 30 minutes. That's 32 minutes actually.
Yeah.
For counting, and I was like, okay, let's start small here. Let's maybe try to get things rolling again.
And you start with 32 minutes.
Yeah. I did 32 minutes today, and I feel good about it. And that right there sums up how pathetic my
Just to show you how much out of shape I am, I'm looking at you, and I still think you could take me. So we'll leave it at that.
But I mean, just as far as wrestling shape is concerned, that may be pathetic for wrestling shape, but for like guys like me, I wouldn't have made it past on that.
Yeah.
But that's pretty awesome. I wrestled in middle school.
Oh, cool, man.
I wrestled for
here in Kentucky.
No. I'm from the Northeast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So I wrestled for 3 years up there, and I got into high school and I just got lazy because I was a baseball player my entire
cool,
life.
Man. That's the sport that I wish I would have been good at. I'm such a fan. I love baseball, man. And
What's
I
your
really played.
What's your team?
Cardinals.
You like Cardinals?
Yeah. And I still, like, me and my brothers go in the summers. I go hit baseballs in the cage like every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I go by myself sometimes, and I'm 49 years old. There's guys my age there, but they all have kids.
Right.
So there's always some dad my age with his kid.
Sure.
In the cage, and he's yelling at his teenage kid, telling him what to do, and the kid doesn't listen. He's
right.
a teenager, right? But I'm 49. I listen, man.
Sure.
These guys got some pretty good advice.
You're like, jerk up some. Okay, let me choke up on that fat a little.
You need to get your bat back. I'm like, that's a pretty good idea.
Wow, I got all of that one.
What else you got, man?
Yeah, right.
Any advice on girls?
So you went to West Point for a year. Now, was it wrestling that got you into that?
Yeah,
it was. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why I went. I mean, I didn't particularly have an interest in the military, but the coach, was recruiting me there, and he called me one night and was telling me all about West Point. And the next day, I was in school, and I was sitting next to Liz Miller, who was one of the prettiest girls in our high school, and I was like, "Yeah, Liz, the wrestling coach from West Point, called me last night. He wants me to go there." And she's like, "That's pretty cool." That's why I went right there.
Right there. That was it.
Did you ever get anywhere with Liz?
No, I never got anywhere.
That was a waste.
I was afraid to try. That was just a major victory.
She was just like, "That's cool," and you're like, "Hey, I got a cool from Liz Miller."
That's about as much.
Well, who knows? She might be listening to this and give you a call.
Nah, she's married now. I saw her through a union. She's also a brain surgeon.
Oh my God, really?
God, you missed out on that, buddy.
One of the most. No, trust me, there was not a chance, man. This girl she had everything going on. Man. Yeah, brilliant girl, and beautiful, and
Yeah.
I met her husband too. He was a wrestler of all things.
Was he?
Yeah.
The irony.
And you were like, "Really?"
Yeah, I know. I was like, "Come on, Liz, man. I was better than this guy."
I'll take him right now.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Married a brain surgeon, you wouldn't even have to do comedy.
I know, man.
Right?
God.
Greg is a really sharp guy, very funny comedian. We had a blast with him when he was in town. It was great. Next, we're gonna hear from Nate Bargatze and some of his unusual likes.
I always like being in a comedy club empty. I'm always a big fan. I don't know, because I feel like you don't ever look at it from here.
Right.
So you don't ever get to see. There's always people in here and stuff. So it's one of my favorite things is an empty comedy club.
Well, that's good as long as you're not performing in front of guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that plenty of times.
I'm sure.
That's also
I'm sure. I also like the fact that you enjoy when comics have problems getting to the stage. I understand that.
Yeah. We had trouble the other night. It's super fun to watch.
With Sean?
Comics have they can't, because it was first show was sold out already, so it's hard to get. It's not hard. You have to go down the middle, but if you don't know that, it's very hard.
Yeah. Right.
And so then Brian and Sean both, they said they had trouble.
Well, what was hilarious to me is, Sean obviously made the first error, but Brian was watching and then he repeated it.
Yeah.
Sean was
That's great.
I figured you would see that I had trouble.
Well, when Sean was trying to go down the middle, there was like a traffic jam. That's why he ran. And I was like, "What's up, Sean?" I didn't even know he was featured. I had no idea he was featuring because he was just here to watch the show.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. He was not planning on going up. He brought his son for the first time to come see.
He was going to do a guest set.
Okay.
Because we talked. Bates knew him, and so we were doing that. But then Scott got sick or something. The guy that's usually here, and so then it just was like, oh,
yeah. Hey,
that's where you always show up if you're a comic.
Nate's ability to look at things differently is one of the reasons why we loved having him on the show. Great guy. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for this year in review. Don't forget, guys, you can subscribe, and or follow us We're on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. Yeah, and okay. Yeah, so don't forget to go check out these episodes. There's a lot of great episodes that we did this last year. This year coming up, I mean, we're going to have Lee Cruz on the show. Stuart Huff should be stopping in. Overtime, Larry Starks, Matt Holt, just to name a few people that are scheduled to come in to do our show. And it should be a great time. So continue to check us out. Look at our back issues. And I'm going to close this out with style. It's going to be Donnie Baker and the Pork Pistols. Let me put the tip in. Have a good night, guys.
Late night party at the pizza barn. Have no idea it could get this hard. $80 tab, try to split it 4 ways. That don't work when the drummer never pays. Scotty got the pizza, boner bought the beer. Then our waitress says, are we finished here? Let me put the tip in, cause you're so hot. Let me put the tip in, I swear to God. Let me put the tip in, I love your hair. Let me put the tip in, it's only fair. I swear to God I'm the best tipper. I lay it right here on the table to prove it. Long dark hair hanging down her back. I asked for days causing a pork attack. So fire ass hot she should be on stage. A meat lover's dream, making minimum wage. Let me put the tip in, come over here. Let me put the tip in, get you a beer. Let me put the tip in, I swear to God. Let me put the tip in, check out this one. Hey, that's only 10%, baby. Look, you want to see a little more? There's 20% right in your face. I swear to God, you have to accept my tip. It's state law. Now, when I know how to set the mood, baby, how about a guitar solo? No, not the whole thing, just the tip. Scotty Winkler! Let me put the tip in, I swear to God. Let me put the tip in, give me the nod. Let me put the tip in, just try your card. Let me put the tip in, or the salad bar. Let me put the tip in, baby. You'll always come out ahead. I swear to God you will.